On Sunday, I decided to go down to Wilcon Depot to pick up some parts that I needed for the house. And of course, it rained that day, which is pretty typical for this time of year, anyhow. And as you can see, we're pulling out of Wilcon Depot and getting onto the main road. That I was originally going to go down on one of my walking live stream days, and
In 600 meters,
as we're coming up here, you're going to see a river that we're crossing, a bridge that we're crossing, and yeah, this isn't the river, it's just a really deep mud puddle here coming up, and right here. But the neighborhood behind there, that I went there as I came into the Wilcon, and it's actually a gated, guarded neighborhood. Fortunately, they were cool enough to let me go in, turn around right there in front of the guard shack. But so obviously trying to get some drone shots from that area is out of the question. It's amazing the amount of scooters that will pass you on the right like that. Um, that's actually how we got into that accident. It was somebody was passing right
keep left to continue on
the
South
moving
Road.
traffic and parked cars. And sadly, I'm actually getting to do it with the Rusi a little bit. Now, coming up here on the left,
Continue on
that as we crest this bridge, you can see it a little bit better. That there's a pretty good sized public market, and there's actually like a 3-tier parking garage there. That one of these days I'd kind of like to get back down to and do at least a video out of there. Now you got to remember that this is actually fairly light traffic between the rain and we were still under MECQ at this point, and so there wasn't as many people would be normal out here. Now coming up here on the left is another shopping center that's in Talisay, but I still haven't been to since we've been here. That getting out with with Rusi and Sunshine, that I'm running across a lot of places that we just haven't been to. And here, for a lot of reasons, you wind up staying in the neighborhood that you're from. Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah, right here you can see the scooter squeeze between the bike and the truck and the bus. A lot of times these scooters have absolutely no concept of how badly they would lose that confrontation. The Rusi that I drive is considered a big bike around here, and it's a whole whopping 250cc Rusi. But the vast majority of scooters are 110, 125s. You'll come up with a few 150s, but the majority of them are under 150cc. So, respectively, yeah, it is kind of a big bike. These pedestrian overpasses like that are pretty common here in a lot of areas. The live stream I just did from Puente Circle, that I walked over 2 of them. On the right there is a large college, technical college of some kind.
Oh, so much care. Pick one of the other.
Now, these intersections, the vast majority of intersections here are uncontrolled. There's no red lights or stop signs. And it's surprising on how well traffic moves through them. That there's not that terribly many accidents, and most of them are not at the intersections. Now, up here on the right, that we're just passing a City Hardware. That I've been in there a few times, and I've been to some of the other City Hardwares. That they're the other hardware store in the Philippines. They're not bad, but they're a lot smaller and don't have anywhere near the selection. So I prefer the Wilcon depots. You periodically get a fairly aggressive car like that little black one. The people just let them get through.
Come on.
Yeah, you can see I'm starting to get a little excited,
Now you get
and it didn't pay off at all.
Now you're right back to timid. Come on, you little
Yeah, this guy
son
was
of a
actually being
bastard.
ignored pretty badly by this point.
Get out of the way. Good grief.
That little not little, that 10-wheeler coming out of there kind of worried me a little bit. He gave way. I really didn't want to follow him through this traffic. And like I say, the traffic in this is actually fairly light as compared to what it typically is during normal times. And that's actually one of the reasons why we probably wouldn't want to live in Cebu City. You're starting to see a lot more bicyclists, and the explanation everybody's given is that with COVID and all that came out, that for a while people weren't allowed to be out driving and such, and cabs and such like that were non-existent. So a lot of people that could possibly afford it wound up getting bicycles. Yeah, coming up on the left was an ambulance. But I kind of saw him in the mirror. That's why I backed off and let him get out of there. I don't know if he was actually going to see anybody or not, but I will generally allow ambulances right of way whenever possible. Up here in a little bit, he actually does hit the siren a little bit to let people know to get out of his way.
Trust me, I will be getting out of your way as fast as possible.
Coming up here is actually a small tunnel that we go through, and surprisingly, it never gets flooded. So, or I've never seen it flooded at least. Obviously, they've got pumps that work rather well in this one. Yeah, the camera was trying to refocus or re-edit or refocus in there. Trying to gain exposure again. There we go.
In 200 meters, keep left to continue on.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I actually enjoy going back and watching these periodically when I do these edits, just simply because I get to look at a lot of the stuff on the side of the road and such. When I'm driving, I don't dare keep my eye too off the road.
Keep left to continue on Mambling flyover. Continue on Natalio B. Micalso Avenue.
Here we're coming up on another one of those flyovers. There's actually quite a few around here. The spire on the right is actually a church that's down there. You go underneath this flyover to get down to SMC side, and I've been by that church a couple times. And again, that's another thing that I think might make a really cool video in that area. I may try to do a walking live stream in the future in that area, just to go for a little bit different area and to see if I can get any video in that area. Yeah, that poor ambulance is still trying to get through traffic. The other one is on the left right here, Cebu Home Builders. They're a fairly small hardware store. I've been in there that they were kind of small and a little on the pricey side. So even though it's pretty close to the house, I generally pass it by. Yeah, and a lot of these red lights, where they do have the red lights, especially in the more urbanized areas, you got a ton of people stopping and selling waters, towels, whatever, souvenirs even. That is real common to have somebody wandering through traffic right here. When you see another one of those scooters, you'll see quite a few more that at red lights that they will split lanes and get up there as close as they can to the red light and then just take right off. Now in Mandawi and Lapu-Lapu and a couple of the other places, they've got those and there's a few places in Cebu City that have them, that have got the countdown timers for the red lights. That I kind of like those, but again, with stereotypical American, I don't picture that working terribly well. Yeah, the kid's begging money in traffic. As soon as the light changes, you know, to get out of the way.
In 200 meters, turn left onto Virama Avenue. Take the next left onto Virama Avenue.
This is my turn back onto my avenue. And yeah, these red lights can get pretty excessively long some days. Normally in the U.S., I'll watch the crosswalk signs and include how long the red light's going to be. But here, you really don't see crosswalk signs that very often. And the ones I have seen don't seem to be terribly well synced up with the red lights either, so I don't quite get what's going on with those. Now, the guy you're seeing right there on the scooter with the helmet hanging off his handlebars, for anybody that's not from here, that he is a hobble driver. And a lot of these people you see on the back of scooters are actually paying passengers. And that's what the extra helmet is for. That way when he gets a passenger, he can give him a helmet so they're able to ride it and not get a ticket or anything.
Continue on Virama Avenue for 2 kilometers.
Now, Virama is another large major street that goes through quite a bit of Cebu. And Papa was saying it was actually an older street too, so a lot of the buildings on here are older. It needed some heavy maintenance. Now, the cones that you see on the side and the road marking that you see on the side over here, again, because of all the new bicycles on the road, that they actually came up with bike lanes, and instead of widening the road to accommodate the bike lane, they just took a chunk out of the curb lane, and that's where everybody gets in. On the left here, there's a cemetery, and that's actually a funeral procession going into the cemetery. Now this is kind of an oddball intersection. That the cross street here is actually offset. Back where that other traffic is waiting is where the street continues. You can see all the scooters coming up and getting in line for the green light. Now, if you take this right-hand, the street on the right, that goes directly to Fuente Circle. And the other day on a walking live stream, I walked down to right here at this corner and turned around and went back. And right there is where that street continues on. It's quite a ways away. They're quite a ways separated. Now the tall building in the background on the right, or on the left, I'm sorry, is actually One Pavilion Place.
400 meters, turn right onto Emvelez Street.
That's the mall that, the shopping center that Cindy and I go to frequently. And the upper floors are condos. Right here is 168 Mall, that it's a takeoff of the 138 Mall that's the older one down in Cologne District. And underneath that blue sign is Banawa Public Market.
300 meters, turn left onto Andre.
That Cindy and I just went there the other day. It's a really small neighborhood public market. But there's a couple of others that are a little bit larger right nearby that if we decide to go back to the public market, we'll probably head to one of those. Yeah, I pass these stopped jeepneys a little on the slow side because people have a tendency to jump off and just take off in traffic. Here's a car wash that I'd kind of like to get back down to when the sun shines. Now up here on the right is the police station. Neighborhood's barangay precinct. And here just at the end of this yellow wall on the right.
300 meters, turn right onto Simpson Road.
This building right here is the Barangay Hall. And right here is the Guadalupe sign. There it is. That I'm actually stopping at Fuda. That I needed to get a couple things, and I found out they were closed after I got parked and got halfway up the ramp.
Take the next right onto Simpson Road.
But I came in here. This is Fuda, that they're actually closing up at the end of the month, at the end of September this year. And that they've had a good run, but I don't know what happened to them. And now we're continuing back out on our way back home. I decided to come this way. I really thought about going back down and taking another side street over, but I kind of wanted to show this street. It's actually the quickest way in and out. Now, I don't mind it on the bike, Brucey, but as you can see, it's basically an alleyway for most of it. And I believe up here I actually
Microphone.
the other direction.
Oh.
Yeah, the tree just attacked that guy's Porsche face shield. When Cindy and I were first getting to know each other, she talked about the big roads in Phoenix. And I didn't appreciate what she meant until I actually came here and started to experience some of these. You can get 2 cars through there. It's tight. But yeah, I've done it a few times, gotten into 2 vehicles. And here it widens out again. But with all the houses and everything so close to the roadside, I don't know how they can actually widen the street. And this is a turn going back to our town hall. Yeah, I almost clipped a car coming out of there. They don't slow down terribly well. Now, right up here on the left, the brown building is a very nice, very high-end, I guess it's apartments, but the video dies right here. So I hope you enjoyed.